Hello friends, welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi, and in this video we are going to be talking about Berge. Now, one of the names that have been very, should I say, very frequent in Arsenal news, Berge. Of course, linked with Tottenham Hotspur and Liverpool and Chelsea. Sheffield United will have to lose him. But anyway, we're going to be looking at Berge and how he would actually fit at Arsenal. Would we need to sign him? Do we need to sign him? Is he the player we the kind of player we need? And so much more around him as a player. Do not forget, we have already drawn Slavia Praha. The draws on your screen. Granada, Manchester United, Arsenal, Slavia Praha, Ajax, Roma, and a couple of other draws. Dinamo Zagreb I'll be taking on Villarreal as well. But I'm going to be talking about Berge and much more. About his quality and how he would actually fit in at Arsenal, where he would play, how much he would impact our style of play. Is he the Mikel Arteta kind of player? Are we interested in him because he would be available on a cheap? I mean, there's so many things to answer because he's a midfielder. That is one of the things you have to know. And, basically, if you're talking about midfielders in Arsenal, you know how much we need a midfielder, a good midfielder, a quality midfielder in the midfield. Actually, we need two players in the summer if you're going to actually compete, at a top level next season. So I think where Granit Xhaka plays, we need a player, and we also need a player where Elneny and Dani Ceballos would play, because I think the quality of Elneny and Dani Ceballos have continued to disappoint throughout the season, and now it's undisputed. We need to get new players in those areas. So first and foremost, let's look at the statistics of Berge per 90 and try to compare him with some of the players we have at Arsenal. Try to see whether he's better or he's actually worse than what we actually have, because that's, for me, what matters. What matters is he better than what we have? Is he what we need? But is he already better than what we already have? So if you look at his touches in the penalty area, he has 2.42 per 90. Dribbles completed 1.44 per 90. He has 2.06 blocks per 90. He has 2.88 progressive passes per 90. He records 1.75 area balls won per 90. He has 18 pressures per 90. Clearances 1.75. Assists 0.1. Expected number of assists is 0.09 per 90. Per 90 means per game, so don't get confused. Non-penalty goals 0.05. Non-penalty goals and assists expected 0.13, and then non-penalty goals expected is 0.05. So what these statistics basically show you is Berge is more of a holding midfielder, a CDM, a kind of deep line midfielder. He's not going to get, he's not going to create many chances. He's not going to score many goals for you. He's not that kind of player. He's not a Felipe Coutinho. He's not a Martin Odegaard kind of player. He is more of a Mohamed Elneny. Now, look, the quality differs, but he plays in that role where you have Granit Xhaka, you have Thomas Partey, where you have Dani Ceballos, and where you have Mohamed Elneny and Arsenal, probably Matteo Guendouzi. If we look at his heat map this season, in some of the games he's played at Sheffield United, you could see his heat map actually runs from way back. Now this is against Tottenham Hotspur and Crystal Palace, and you can see his heat map is very, very busy on the on the right hand side of the pitch, especially in the midfield. You can see a lot of action there. So he's more of a player you're going to give the ball, pass it around, get it back, pass it around. He's going to play that Ndombele, not Ndobia. Why does Ndobia? Ndombele role at Spurs, or the Højbjerg role at Spurs is more like that. But looking at his highlights and the way he plays, he's not so much of of a strong player who wins the ball, who fights for the ball. He's more of a player who wants to get that ball and make sure he has it and distributes it very well, which I think he's not better than Thomas Partey. And I think at Arsenal, Partey is responsible for that, and I think I'm really contented with the way Partey gives it. So if you have Thomas Partey in this midfield, then that means Berge will replace. Will be able to replace Granit Xhaka in the midfield, and he's right-footed, so he's not left-footed. So probably that means that you're going to have Partey and Berge switching places. So what he gives you first and foremost is he controls this area of the pitch. I'm using an oval. I should have used a rectangular shape, but it makes sense, doesn't it? So he's going to control this part of the pitch first and foremost, and the other thing, you're going to have him control this part of the pitch as well. So basically, that is what he gives the club. That is what he offers as a midfielder. He receives the ball in this oval area, in this oval part of the pitch, and then much of his influence is going to be on the right-hand side of the pitch, which I think Thomas Partey is very, very flexible when he's playing here. Because if you look at how Thomas Partey plays, he enjoys that freedom, especially when he's playing, when he's playing on that side of on the right-hand side of the pitch, and making those progressive passes, to look out for the wingers. So probably have, Thomas Partey. Let's just get rid of this for a second, like this. Okay, so you have Thomas Partey around this area of the pitch, and he's controlling all this area, and basically his passes are progressive passes, trying to look out for players in the wide areas, trying to look out for players near the 18 years box, trying to look out for the overlapping runs of wingers and fullbacks. And what Partey, by the way, gives you is he's able to carry this ball himself from one place to another without passing it. He's technically gifted and physically gifted to do that as a midfielder. The other thing, and I think he did this perfectly well when he came on against Olympiacos in the second leg. He has the ability to control games. Like I said, this whole atmosphere is for him to control, and he does it perfectly well. So he controls games, and when he's playing with a player like Martin Odegaard or Saka or a player, for example, if you give him a player like Bruno Fernandes, who's technically gifted, then his advantages would actually be even greater than what we think. So what Partey gives you is what Berge gives you, a player who could actually control this area of the pitch just there. So and I think this has been a problem for Arsenal for the past 5 years. Someone who can control the midfield, whether we have the ball or we don't have it. Someone who could actually make us make those progressive runs and do everything comfortably on the ball. All these areas on the pitch like this. And I think Partey does it well. Berge would do the same thing, and he does the same thing at Sheffield United. That's why I wouldn't actually decide to go for him. But the big question is, what is the quality of Berge, and would he be of any difference? Would he make any difference on Arsenal in terms of quality? And my answer is disappointingly a no. I don't see. Of course, he's standing out at Sheffield United. They're having a very busy, ugly season, and they know it's so bad. But I don't see him as a quality player. I don't see him as the kind of player we need, because if we go back to this to this tactical board, the question is, if you have Thomas Partey controlling such an area, then which kind of player do you need? Which kind of player would Arsenal then need if Thomas Partey is controlling the midfield at this rate? And for me, what Arsenal actually need is a player who could actually make such runs and just pierce through the midfield, just pierce through, the opponent. And I think that is not Sunderberg. I think Thomas, like we've already said, could it be Thomas Partey and Yavis Bissouma? Because the reason as to why we think Bissouma and Partey could play together. First and foremost, I think their quality. Bissouma is more quality than Sunderberg. But the other thing is, Bissouma gives you that assurance in this area. So Thomas Partey could actually go forward and make whatever kind of business he wants and negotiate whatever kind of business he wants in the final third, which a player like Sunderberg is never going to give you. For me, he's a little bit even slow than what I want in a CDM. I don't see him as a perfect, player to partner Thomas Partey in the midfield. I don't mean to say he's awful. I don't think he's awful, but he is below. For me, it's below the standards I want at Arsenal. If I want a player who could actually partner Thomas Partey in that midfield, I'm going to be looking at a player like Yavis Bissouma. I'll be looking at a player like Wilfred Ndidi, Ricardo Tielemans, and actually, if Partey can actually take on the defensive shape, the defensive role at Arsenal, I would prefer that we go with a player like Ricardo Tielemans, Yuri Tielemans, sorry, Leicester City, because what Tielemans gives you is that ability to drive the ball forward at a sharper pace, and that's what we need. So for me, Sunderberg is not the player for Arsenal, and I'm sorry to say, of course, I know many Arsenal fans are just interested in Arsenal bringing in players. That's why you will defend El Neni, you will defend whoever we are linked with, but of all the options we've been linked with in the midfield, I disagree with Sunderberg. I think he would do for a club like not Newcastle. Obviously, I think he should do better than that. But if you gave him to Everton, probably as a squad player, because if you look at Everton and the way they set up their team with Doucouré, with Alan, with Hamis, you can't fit in Sunderberg there. And if you're going to compete with clubs like Everton in the coming season, then I don't see Sunderberg playing for Arsenal. That is my opinion on him, and those are his statistics. Anything you want to know about Sunderberg and his statistics, you can go to fbref.com. They're going to give you everything you need to know. He's a very fantastic player, and I think this is a big threat for Sheffield United, because they have a very bad season. They're going to get relegated. There's no question about that. They're going to get relegated, and they're going to lose so much of their quality. They're going to lose many of their players. They lost Dean Henderson last season. He went back to this season. Actually, he went back to Manchester United from the loan spell. Now they're going to lose Sunderberg. They might lose David McGoldrick as well. So I don't see them as a club that's going to survive, and I don't know how they're going to survive. But for me, Sunderberg is not the player unless I am making a big mistake. Smash a like on this video, and I'll speak to you in the next one.